congratulate Fox because you were the first ones to call it for Hillary Clinton. Fair and balanced, Fox. You beat them all.
Fox has done the fairest job, has remained most objective of all of the cable networks.
Well, there you have two former Democratic Party chairmen praising the news coverage on Fox, the network that was boycotted by a number of leading Democratic candidates earlier in the campaign. And we're back now with Britt, Mara, Bill, and Juan. Well, as we're all too aware, Democrats refused to come on Fox for the debates and for several shows. They did show up on others. John Edwards was, I think, the one who really led the boycott, openly appealing to the MoveOn.org left wing of the party. Now we were having Obama coming on and Clinton and Howard Dean for the first time in 19 months. What I really want to talk about here is their strategy. Britt, from their point of view, why has it changed?
Politics is about addition, not subtraction. It was never going to be a good idea for very long for any of these candidates to turn their back on the largest cable audience in television. And that applies even to this program as well. Although we're on the broadcast network, the program re-airs on the cable channel and is seen there in whole and in excerpts as well. So this was, I think it was kind of a shrewd move for Edwards to try to pick a fight with us early in the primary season to appeal, as you suggested, to the net roots, which are very important, particularly in fundraising in the Democratic Party. It didn't work out very well for him because we didn't fight. We just kept on covering him the same way we covered everybody else. And the rest of the candidates had kind of gone along with this because it looked like smart strategy early. Now, of course, they need to reach voters, blue-collar voters, Democrats, in places like Indiana, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and states like that, North Carolina. And they're going where the voters are, a little bit like the famed Willie Sutton went to the bank. That's where the money is. We got the viewers. They're here. No surprise.
Mara, I mean, let me ask you about that, because if it makes sense to do it now, was it a mistake to boycott Fox during all of 2007, or did it make sense at that particular point in the primary to cater to the left wing?
I think it made sense then. It makes sense now. These are smart people. I mean, when it made sense to boycott Fox, they did, and now they're looking for votes that they think that can be found among the audience. Makes sense now. I mean, don't forget there have been appearances by Barack Obama and Hillary on Fox for a long time, just not on your show or on Bill O'Reilly. So there's also been, the target audience right now in the primaries that we're in right now are these, lower income white voters. I'm not saying that they're any more represented among Fox's audience than CNN's, but there is an effort to reach out to those voters, to figure out how to reach them. I think this is all, completely political common sense from start to finish.
Let me ask you about the flip side of that, Bill, because the left wing of the Democratic Party, MoveOn.org, the Daily Kos, they're furious. I mean, they are really upset, if you read their websites, at the fact that they say these Democratic leaders are making a terrible mistake now coming on Fox. Can Obama, can Clinton, can Howard Dean, can they safely ignore those folks now?
Well, I think if they're smart, they will. If they were smart, they would have. I don't agree that it was smart in 2007 to the degree they did to have boycotted. I mean, they went with the left. This was part of a bigger picture. They tried to end the war repeatedly. They tried to cut off funds for the troops. They didn't denounce MoveOn.org when they ran the General Betray Us ad, when General Petraeus was testifying before Congress. They were scared of the left wing of their party. I think Hillary Clinton has shown you can get an awful lot of votes by not pandering to the left wing of the party. It seems to me she's been gaining in the polls in the last month.
Well, she was pandering for a while there, wasn't she? She moved to the left on the war.
She did move to the left on the war, but just look at the last month. She's been gaining on Obama, and to the degree there have been ideological divisions, she's clearly been more centrist. She said we should annihilate Iran if they attack Israel, and I didn't notice her poll numbers going down. She's been more populist, more centrist, and it's helping her. The party will be helped if they can resist.
So you think it was a mistake to do this all the way back in 2007?
I don't know. It's such a tiny thing in the big scheme of things. Whether you go on, no offense. If people go on this show, well, except for this show, which is a huge deal, of course. But I don't think the world stops or doesn't stop if people do one Fox interview or not. But what's funny about the Terry McAuliffe quote, where he praises the fact that the Fox decision desk called the Pennsylvania race, I think 20 minutes before the other networks who are watching it. And he makes the joke, which is funny, about fair and balanced. But of course, it shows how they do think about Fox as if it's somehow that we're calling races based on ideology. It's so crazy when you talk to the political scientists who work there. I have no idea what their views are. In this case, we actually had very good political scientists doing making a quick and correct judgment on Pennsylvania. And it's just sort of funny that they see everything through such a political lens.
I must say, it took CNN 20 more minutes, which is a lot of time in this business, to suddenly make a call. You wonder about their political leanings and judgments when it comes to doing something as analytical as making a call. But my sense is overwhelmingly that this is, a mistake from the start, that you don't go away from a conversation, even with people who are your ideological opponents. And I think that's the problem with the debates, that it pushed the party and it pushed the discussion farther to the left. And I don't think it was to the advantage of Democrats looking towards the general election, because ultimately you want to win the White House. This is not about posturing. This is the problem with the superdelegates. I mean, they're going to stand on principle and still supposed to say, well, how do we win? You got to win. And my thinking is along the lines of Jay Leno, who said, if you have to stand up to guys with nuclear weapons, well, how can you be afraid of Fox? Go on Fox, have arguments, take on Bill O'Reilly. It's not like you can't respond. You can't say what you want to say. I get to say what I want to say to Brit Hume. You can say what you want to say. Have an argument.
All right, let me pick up on another side of this, because both the New York Times and the L.A. Times had big articles about this on Sunday. The L.A. Times on the front page of the paper about Democrats and Fox. And I want to pick up on one part of what was in the L.A. Times article. Take a look at these numbers. They quoted a survey last year by a consumer research firm. They interviewed 10,000 people that found 39% of Fox viewers described themselves as conservative, 47% as middle of the road, and 14% as liberal. I got to say, this is the first time I'd ever seen this survey. Surprisingly, that's not much different from CNN, where the audience was 33% conservative, 47% middle of the road, and 20% liberal. So, Britt, it sounds like a lot of these political strategists have been operating under faulty assumptions.
I don't think that's it. I think it's that this news channel had become the bête noire and the whipping boy for certain elements on the left. MoveOn.org in particular, and websites like Daily Kos, deemed to be important to the Democratic base, or as an important part of the Democratic base. And picking a fight with us, or attempting to, by staying off the channel, at least off certain programs, was thought a good idea for John Edwards, who had no traction in the race at the time, and he never got much out of it because he didn't succeed in picking the fight he wanted. But I don't think that anybody was making a empirical analysis of our audience in order to do that. They were trying to start something and make a political issue something that was thought potentially beneficial. It didn't work out.
But go ahead.
No, I was just saying, in terms of those polls, if you offer somebody conservative, liberal, and middle of the road looks pretty attractive place to park yourself. I wonder if those same polls were taken just conservative and liberal, how that would break down. But, again, I think this is just, nobody did an analysis like that. They just understood they were missing a huge chunk of people and they needed to reach them.
And why now? Is there something particularly? Because there are plenty of blue-collar, white working-class voters, the kind of people we were talking about in earlier primaries. Why after Pennsylvania and Indiana and North Carolina? Why at this particular juncture?
Well, maybe Hillary Clinton should have done it earlier. She might have won even more of the primaries earlier on than Obama. But Obama coming on this past Sunday, on Fox News Sunday, strikes me as an indication that he's worried. And I think actually he's worried. You can't, he has now lost quite a few primaries to Hillary Clinton. If he were to lose Indiana and North Carolina, it would be very close, and then to lose West Virginia and Kentucky, suddenly, Clinton wins 5, 6 of 7, maybe the most recent primary. Suddenly, Obama's inevitability looks a little shaky.
He hasn't won since February 22nd. But I think coming on here is just an evidence of, you try to win a big audience, and Fox has the audience.
All right. Thank you, panel. See you next week. Time now for some mail, and we got a lot about our interview last Sunday with Barack Obama. Ann, who describes herself as a Democrat from North Carolina, writes, I heard Senator Obama say more in this hour than I have ever heard him say about the issues. And when he would stray from the actual question, Mr. Wallace respectfully brought him back to it. Rob Burton, a self-proclaimed Obama supporter from Covington, Kentucky, disagrees. I am starting to think I made a mistake and am rethinking my vote. I wish you guys would have dug into him. He seems unsure of himself when speaking. To me, that means he is hiding something. Republicans sounded off, too. Mike Bogenry from Tallahassee, Florida, writes, I actually connected with Obama, shaking my head in agreement, thinking to myself that I could pull the lever for him. And Christine Roussel, a Republican from Sherrill, New York, offered this. It was refreshing to hear an adult conversation without the political bickering and posturing, where two people talk to each other with respect. Be sure to let us know your thoughts by emailing us at fns@foxnews.com. Up next, our Power Player of the Week.